Welcome to The Explainer, 8th graders. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're tackling a concept that literally has the power to completely change the way you read, speak, and just present yourself to the world. We often fall into this trap of thinking that reading a book all alone in our room is enough to get us to the next level of fluency. We kind of naturally assume that if our eyes simply pass over a high enough volume of words, we'll somehow automatically become these master communicators. But, well, cognitive science actually tells us something really fascinating. Our brains are incredibly efficient. And what that means is, when we read silently in a vacuum, our minds effortlessly gloss over poor pacing, a flirt tone, and we might even completely skip words without ever realizing it. We are essentially blind to our own mistakes. So to truly excel and to really find your voice, you need something entirely different to break that cycle. You need collaboration. Okay, let's dive into this. You've probably heard the ancient proverb, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Just think about the sheer physics of that metaphor for a second. You cannot sharpen a dense steel blade by rubbing it against a soft feather pillow, right? It just doesn't work. To get a truly razor-sharp edge, you absolutely require friction. You need something equally strong pushing back against it, another solid piece of iron. Now, in your educational journey right now, you are that iron, and your peers, they're the other piece of iron. You need a dedicated partner to help you actively file away the dull, unrefined edges of your reading habits, so you can emerge as a sharp, clear, and deeply impactful communicator. Which brings us to a really key question from the curriculum. What does this proverb actually teach us about learning from others? Well, it establishes a core truth that genuine academic and personal growth inherently requires collaboration. It needs that positive friction we were just talking about. It tells us, quite plainly, that we aren't meant to figure everything out in isolation. Whether you're being mentored by a peer or stepping up to mentor someone else, it's a fundamental, non-negotiable part of how humans improve at complex tasks. We all need that external push to move past our own limitations. Section 1, the power of peers and why you absolutely need a reading partner. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact difference between these two approaches. It really comes down to the echo chamber of our own minds. When you're reading alone, you're just sitting comfortably inside that echo chamber. You might read a dramatic sentence completely flat or stumble awkwardly over a complex vocabulary word, and you won't even register it because your internal voice always sounds perfect to you. But the moment you transition to reading with a peer, the entire dynamic shifts. Your partner acts as an audio mirror. You instantly get objective feedback. You start learning directly from your partner's unique vocal strengths. And suddenly, you notice your own reading habits with crystal clarity, simply because someone else is sitting there, actively listening and reflecting your performance back to you. Practicing aloud together isn't merely about getting through a higher volume of text. It's about fundamentally reading better. It's about forging real confidence through repetition and adjustment. When you regularly practice your tone, pacing, and clarity with a trusted peer, you aren't just becoming a slightly better reader for your English class. You're actively utilizing a training ground for the big stage. You're preparing your nervous system and your vocal cords for high-stakes drama performances, major academic presentations, and future leadership roles where clear, confident communication is going to be absolutely critical to your success. Section 2, Mastering Constructive Feedback Through the Practice Loop. Establishing a reliable system is everything, right? So here is a highly effective 4-step practice loop that transforms a casual study session into focused peer mentorship. First, you read a passage out loud with intention. Second, your partner actively listens and takes careful notes, maybe pointing out that you completely rushed through the dramatic climax of the story without taking a single breath. Third, you switch roles. Because remember, iron sharpens iron, meaning both of you are actively engaged in the sharpening process. And fourth, you exchange respectful feedback. This creates a continuous dynamic loop of improvement that guarantees build partners walk away better than when they started. Now, step 4 is so foundational that the curriculum actually establishes an absolute golden rule for delivering that feedback. And honestly, this isn't just a rule for school. This is a critical insight for navigating professional relationships for the rest of your life. Whenever you give constructive criticism, you must provide at least one genuine positive comment, immediately followed by one clear, actionable suggestion for improvement. Feedback from a peer must always be designed to build the person up. It must never, ever be used to tear them down. The ultimate goal of this entire collaboration is to help your partner shine and refine their skills. It's never to point out flaws, just to stroke your own ego. There's also immense value in the other side of the equation. While you're sitting there patiently listening to your partner, how exactly is that improving your own fluency? Well, active listening basically turns you into a vocal detective. It helps you identify brilliant little techniques that you can effectively steal and apply to your own reading. Maybe you notice how your partner masterfully stresses a specific action verb to convey anger, or how they utilize a deliberate 2-second dramatic pause to build suspense before a huge reveal. You can absorb those powerful communication strategies seamlessly simply by being an exceptional listener.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds into tracking your progress with measurable examples in action.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the real magic happens when you translate vague aspirations into concrete, solvable actions. If your specific goal is slowing down during incredibly complex run-on sentences, a highly tangible solution is having your partner physically mark the exact spots on the page where you need to take a breath. If you observe your partner utilizing incredibly distinct character voices, well, the immediate solution is for you to step out of your comfort zone and try incorporating those vocal shifts yourself on the very next page. And if your goal is to read faster without sacrificing your enunciation, you literally pull out a stopwatch, actively time your pacing, and track that performance metric. This is exactly how you take abstract goals and turn them into highly measurable improvements. So this brings us to a crucial preparation challenge for your homework. Before you even sit down across from your partner, you need to develop a distinct game plan. What's your biggest personal blind spot? Are you specifically working on slowing your pacing down today? Or are you trying to inject more emotional tone into dry text? The more intentional you are about setting these targets before the clock even starts, the more profound the results of the collaboration will be. Mentorship absolutely thrives on direction. Section 4. Education with Moral Purpose. Looking at the heroesmartacademy philosophy. Up to this point, we've heavily covered the academic mechanics of reading fluency. However, the heroesmartacademy Godly Learners series curriculum also introduces its core philosophical argument regarding the ultimate why behind all of this learning. The text presents the idea that keeping a spiritual mindset is what ultimately brings genuine peace of mind. It suggests that academic success and sharp communication skills are really only one piece of the human puzzle. Operating with a chaotic mind or lacking a solid moral compass leaves that puzzle incomplete. So the crucial point is, the curriculum's philosophy specifically argues that education without morality can actually be harmful. It presents the perspective that biblical morality must be tightly intertwined with academic education. And the text points out a pretty sobering reality here. Human history is incredibly full of brilliant, highly educated individuals who use their exceptionally sharp minds to make highly destructive choices. The argument being made is that if we meticulously sharpen our iron, if we become master communicators and brilliant thinkers, but completely lack the moral grounding to wield those tools responsibly, we risk using our education in ways that hurt rather than heal. Which leaves us with a final, highly vital question posed directly by the curriculum. What's the point of being smart if you continue to make choices that hurt? As you actively practice your fluency and as you work to seamlessly sharpen your peers and allow them to sharpen you in return, the text challenges you to deeply consider why you are building such a capable mind in the first place. The overarching goal presented is to step into the world with a sharp intellect, ready to make highly positive choices, and lead with deep integrity. So keep practicing, keep stepping up to sharpen one another, and I will see you in the next explainer.